We're recording.
Hey guys, welcome back to Owlbear Odysseys. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit on the simpler side. If our calendar is right, this should be coming out on December 30th, which normally would have been a session recording day for us. We took the day off to spend time with our families since the Christmas season. So instead, we are going to be taking a which D&D class quiz, or I'm gonna cut this and do a new take. Instead, we are going to be taking a which D&D class are you quiz. We're all going to talk about our answers, see which class we get, and then discuss what we would have wanted and how we feel about what we got. So this has 10 questions with 12 answers. This only covers the base 12 classes, so Artificer, Blood Hunter, and Mystic are not included. And you can kind of tell which answer is meant to be which class. But nonetheless, we're going to jump in with question one. When in a difficult situation, how do you get out of it? Marshall, when in a difficult situation, how do you get out of it?
Oh, that's so hard. It's definitely with my fists. I am totally a fighter. No, I'm really not. So I would like to say with logic, and I think I do that a good amount, but most of the time, like if I'm in a difficult situation, I would like to say I could charm my way out of it, but I don't think I'm that charming. Or make friends. But what are friends? Ah, uh, yeah.
It's a level one spell,
But
It's a cantrip. Come on, man.
It's a cantrip. Level 1? Uh, so my actual answer for like what this would be, I would like to say with logic, but I think I lean more towards asking for help because I like to be able to check in with others and see what their thoughts are. So that's where I really go, is just asking for help.
Okay. What about you, Shane? When you're in a difficult situation, how do you get out of it?
Not to sound like a broken record here, I would love to say with logic, right? Like that seems like the best answer to give here. But also I know myself. I have a tendency to avoid problems until I can no longer avoid them. I am a chronic procrastinator. So you know what? I think the closest answer, the best thing for me here, I'm gonna put hide behind something big.
Hide behind something big. Very nice.
Yeah, and something JT neglected to mention. You guys are looking at my screen. Woo! Here we are. So I will be clicked. You will be seeing my answers. JT and Marshall are looking on their own screens. They're doing it on their own, and we're going to talk about it later. But you're going to see my answers.
Yep. I was going to say that at the beginning of mine because I recognized that I forgot. But thank you. You guys both said that you want to go for with logic, and I'm on the same page as Marshall. I feel like I'm between with logic and ask for help because I've never been someone who's like too prideful to ask for help in a difficult situation. But my gut instinct, you know, I'm a spreadsheet maker. When my wife and I were getting married, she was real stressed out about what venue we're gonna go with, and so I made an Excel spreadsheet with every venue in 30 miles and cost when they're open, how far away it is, everything. So I genuinely think that with logic is the right answer for me because, and it's not like a one size fits all. There are times that I probably would hide behind something big, but my gut instinct in a difficult situation is to figure out pros and cons. What's the best solution? So I think with logic is the right answer for me. Which takes us to question 2. When at a party, not a D&D party, which are you most likely doing? Shane, you want to start us off here?
Sure. So here's the thing. There are definitely a few answers that we could pick, that I could pick here. Petting the host dog, always a good option. We love it. There's I don't go to parties, also an option for me. The thing I think that sticks out to me the most, the thing that I know that I do when I'm in situations like that where I'm around a bunch of people I don't know and I'm uncomfortable, I stay near people I know. So my answer is this one down here, staying near people you know. It's what makes me the most comfortable. It's the one I think is the most accurate out of the few options that are accurate.
Yeah. You know, if you had asked me this question yesterday, if I had taken this test yesterday, I probably would have said petting the host dog, because if I'm stuck at a party, I'm either going to be petting the host dog or hiding out in the bathroom, which is closest to playing Bloody Mary. Um, I was at a Christmas party yesterday, and a stranger came up and talked to me, and I actually said, "Lo siento, no hablo inglés." So I think I don't go to parties is the correct answer for me here. I'm just not a partier. I'm not a super social person. So I'm gonna put I don't go to parties. And I'm gonna pass it off to Marshall. When you're at a party, which of these are you most likely doing?
So I'm thinking about like some of the parties that I've been to, which has been not a lot. I think back to like my old theater days, but some more recent parties that I've been to, I'm like, oh, I've played things like beer pong, but that's not really like the thing I would actually go and do. It's more so like, hey, come here. A little bit of peer pressure, and I'm like, fine, I'll play because everyone else is playing. It seems like fun, I guess. Bandwagoning, right? No, don't actually. But petting the host's dog, I would love to do that as much as I can. But I also want to stay near the people I know. But there have been times where I'm not staying near the people I know. But then if I hear some really good music, I'm like, I gotta go sing to that, even though that will get me kicked out because I'm not great. So I can sing and then I can be out of there. But then I started thinking about it some more, and then I'm like, oh, wait, I don't really think I focus on one of those at all. Uh, so I think it's more so of nothing in particular. I think that's the kind of a cop out a little bit,
I
but it's just kind of where I lean. I have found myself taking care of a lot of people at parties, but I'm not at a lot of those types of parties. So I think the best one for me is nothing in particular. That's where I lean.
Yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Marshall's Stream of Consciousness.
Yeah,
No,
it goes everywhere.
all jokes aside, like
Well,
again,
not
there is
all. I
no,
haven't joked yet.
okay, but genuinely, there is no like one size fits all answer. Like you're not going to do the same thing every time. That being said, the answer taking care of people who need it really rings to me of like, hey man, you going to the party? Nah, sorry, I'll be at Habitat for Humanity. That's just like I don't know who would go with that. But that being said,
Clerics. Cough, cough.
yeah. But that being said, let's go on to question number 3, which is what are you most proud of? Now I'll take the reins on this one. I'll go first. And I just want to say off the top of my like first off, this is a really uncomfortable question because it's kind of asking you to brag on yourself. Which is just not something that people do a lot nowadays. But I mean, I think there are some good answers here. I'm definitely proud of how fast I am because I can run a mile in 6 days. Um, but I think the real answer for me here, and I don't intend this as bragging, but I think the right answer for me is my mind. I'm very torn between my mind and how much I've learned. I've my entire life tied my value as a person to my grades. Um, but I think the difference to me is like how much I've learned. I'm proud of my memory and like the education I've gotten, and my mind is more like solving riddles, IQ test kind of stuff. I'm proud of my like the internal like myself, not necessarily the education I've gotten. So I'm gonna say, what am I most proud of? My mind. What about you, Marshall?
So this is also like I won't go into like my full stream of consciousness, but like I want to because there's so many options that I'm like, oh man, my strength. I am totally like a He-Man, you know? Rah! And no, ugh. I'll just throw a boulder real quick. But I am also kind of where JT is at. Like how much I've learned, my mind. Those two really stick out to me, and I think they're really important to me. But I also kind of lean towards my devotion to my cause, my cause is really just helping people. But my ability to help, I don't know if I help everyone all the time. I am a therapist. It does depend on my client, however things are going for them, and I want to be able to help people as much as possible. But it does depend, and I like to think that I am helping as much as I can, and that's part of my cause. So I'm kind of like back and forth, and I do think I've learned a lot. I am working on my doctorate, so it's like. Ugh, how much I've learned. It's a very difficult choice. Oh, I'm doing the stream of consciousness thing again. I'm just gonna stick with my devotion to my cause because it's a focus, and I'm just going through all of the schooling because it's just what I'm doing, as well as my hope to help as many people as possible and do the things that I want. So, devotion to my cause.
So what you need to know for this is we're recording a little bit late, or at least late for us at this point in our lives. Clearly, Marshall gets wordy when he gets tired.
Mhm.
That said, I think it's my turn to marshal on this answer. So let me tell you about each one of these answers and why I feel it does or does not, resonate with me.
Please
Um,
don't do that.
I won't do that. I just had to. That was my joke. Now we can
Hey,
say all
hey,
joking
audience.
aside.
Hey, audience. I do all the editing for these videos, so anytime they do this crap, they're just adding more to my job. Please
Well,
don't do
you
that.
can't cut down his stream of consciousness now because we've referenced it too much.
Truth.
So
Anyway,
Shane, what are you most proud of?
yeah. So for me, this question is difficult. JT touched on it. To me, it's a thing of like I don't know that there's a lot that I take great pride in. Like I don't think I'm ashamed of myself either. But it's like different people have different different flaws, different focuses. Pride is not a thing of mine really. Um, and there's a few of them that fit better than others. JT stole my joke about my speed, but he's faster because I can do a mile in 7 days, so he's got me beat. I think my answer is going to be my mind. I whatever else is up there, I believe in the ability of my mind and I appreciate it. So I'm just gonna say my mind.
Nice.
That's fair.
Um, and honestly, Shane, I'm gonna let you keep things going with this next question. We've been answering these like as ourselves and not as D&D characters, which makes this one interesting. But which of these 12 would be your weapon of choice?
Now, I think I'm not going to be the only one to say this, but there's an obvious inclination to pick magic, right? Because magic is cool. We love magic. I love, lizard brain casting fireball. I'm not going to pick that because I like the other things too. I am an avid fantasy fan. I'm an avid, anime fan. I love all kinds of, melee ranged medieval combat. My the two choices that draw me to them are sword and axe. Because, growing up, I always loved, swords in various media. It's always cool. We love a good swordsman.
Shane was
Uh,
a Trunks fan.
I was a Trunks fan, actually, now that you mention it. Uh, one of the things got me into Dragon Ball was playing a Dragon Ball fighting game on the PS3, and I didn't know the characters, and I liked playing Trunks because he had a sword, and it was cool. Now,
Fair.
all that said about swords, I'm actually going to pick an axe because axes are also very fun and they're really cool. And I like
True.
the depiction of big battle axes. I love the fantasy battle axes that would never be functional in real life. So yeah, an axe is my choice.
What about you, Marshall?
Oh, I also want to say magic, but I'm not gonna choose that one. because that does not make sense, because I myself cannot choose magic as a weapon of choice to protect myself. Obviously, it's going to be a loot, because if someone's running at me in an alleyway with a gun, I'm going to be like, oh,
Real quick, let me
oh
play
boy.
Wonderwall.
Cue the
That'll make them
gif
run away.
of Chris Pine from the Dungeons and Dragons movie hitting someone in the face with the loot.
Yeah, so it's not actually that. I would love to say my fists, because I think anyone fighting with fists is really cool. I like a lot of anime and movies where it's about fists, and like they're actually just beating people up instead of like a dagger or a mace or anything else like that. Like your fists are your weapon. I just like that idea. But I think in the end, I'm gonna be choosing a chain, because it just makes me think about so many fun little magic things, even though I'm not choosing magic, but also just the idea of using a chain to like smack people, even though it does not actually work. I think about Infamous, the video game from PS4. I think it was PS4, and I'm just like wailing people with it. It's so cool. I like it a lot. But yeah.
All right. Um, I I mean, I want to pick magic, but because neither of you did, I won't either. If I were taking this on my own, I would pick magic.
Mhm.
Um, but I think of the rest of them, obviously, like Shane said, swords are kind of like the go-to weapon. Like swords are a very common, very epic weapon. But for me, if I were to get like fully trained with a weapon, I would want to learn how to use a bow. I've read comics my entire life. Green Arrow has always been one of my favorite superheroes, even though he's not super, but he is in my heart. But I just think, like, absolutely, Shane, the trope of like the anime swordsman is amazing, but the
Mhm.
archer, that's where my heart has always been. And also, archers tend to be a little bit more edgelord, and I listen to My Chemical Romance. So I'm going with the bow.
Don't
Um,
worry, I'm also
on
edgelord with the chain.
Yeah, Marshall's weeaboo edgelord. Um, but on to question number 5, and I'm gonna let Marshall. I'll let you start this one off. Which of these colors do you
Okay,
like the most?
so this is a hard choice for me, because my favorite color is actually two colors. I know that's not a normal thing. I'm difficult. This is totally going to be another stream of consciousness thing, as I'm exhausted and I'm talking a lot. So my favorite colors, but it's a color to me, is crimson and lilac. I like the mixture of it. It's very pretty to me, and it just is visually pleasing in a spiral. Specifically in a spiral. It has to be in a spiral. It's just how it has to be.
So your
No
favorite color
answers.
isn't a color? That's not a
Correct.
color, Marshall.
It is to me.
But it's
But
not.
if it actually had it, I would choose like aquamarine or something else like that nice, pretty greenish blue color. But I'm gonna just choose red, because as like I like red. It's just pretty, and that's the one I'm gonna go with. But if I could, it would be crimson and lilac in a spiral.
Okay.
Crimson
Well,
and lilac. He says, "Say red."
red and purple, dude.
No,
Okay, well, since Marshall started off by answering a completely different question, my favorite movie is Ghostbusters, and my favorite color is purple. That's all I really have to say about that. Although before we shift over to Shane, I do just want to let everyone know the circles on Shane's screen on the colors. He has night mode turned on right now, so the colors are not actually like the representation is a little bit different. So those circles, and he's turning it off now, but you can see the circles were like the actual color without the night mode
Mhm.
shift. But that's all I have to say.
I don't apologize for my dark mode. It makes everything
I
better.
wouldn't ask you to.
Um, yeah, after Marshall's debacle, I'm just gonna make it simple. My favorite color kind of changes. I don't really have one, but I'm gonna pick green.
that's
All
fair.
right. Um, Ideal pet. I believe this is question number 6. Um,
Mhm.
Now, look, I have a medium-sized dog that I expected to get bigger. So, like, I would love a big dog, but I am reading this question with the assumption that I could fully train the pet. Because if you can't train them, that's not really a pet. That's just a wild animal that you're letting live with you until it kills you.
It's not ideal.
So if I can, if like the assumption is whichever pet I go with, I can fully train. I want a freaking hawk. Like I want to be able to, like I would love if I had the money to get into falconry as a hobby. But if I could fully train it, a hawk would be an amazing pet to have. What about you, Shane?
I'm coming at it from the same place. It's kind of about idealized, and there's a large part of me that wants to pick bear because I think that would be really cool. But also they're just so big, and it would be such a hassle. And whether it was perfectly trained or not, whether it was trained beyond the ability of bears to be trained, I would always be afraid it was going to eat me, right? Like I'd always be afraid of that. And honestly, my answer is cat. I have a cat. She's over there. She's sleeping. You probably saw her on the video earlier. She's great. I love her. But also, cat could include some of the bigger cats. You know, in an ideal world, an ideal trained pet, I could have like an ocelot or like a tiger.
Ocelots are my favorite big cat. Ocelots and caracals.
So yeah, cat.
Marshall?
Okay, so I wish it was here. I wish my sky puppies were here. I would love to say bat, but they're not here. So I will not say bat, even though I want to. That is what is in my heart.
It's right next to the crimson and lilac spiral.
Yes. I would also say turtle, but the turtle I would want is endangered, the leatherback sea turtles, but it would also not make sense because I do not have a big enough water area for them. But I think it would be very funny to have a goldfish, like Xanathar's goldfish. That'd be pretty dope to have Xanathar's goldfish. But we can ignore that.
But what's your choice?
Get to the point, buddy.
We're gonna go with a good old trash panda, my beautiful little raccoon buddy. Yeah, with his little grubby mitts, he can go take everything for me. I would love him.
Beautiful. I do just want to let everyone know, at time of recording, the last 2 movies I've seen in theaters, and the only ones I saw in theaters in 2023, are Cocaine Bear and Five Nights at Freddy's. So the only 2 types of bears in my heart are a Cocaine Bear and a Freddy Fazbear. Favorite flavor. I'm gonna kick us off on this one. I kicked us off last time. Marshall, kick us off.
Oh, so easiest answer for me, it's sweet. I also like meaty, but it's sweet for me. That's just how it is.
Okay. This is an easy one for me too. My favorite food is hot wings, buffalo wings. I'm gonna pick spicy. Meaty is a close second for me, but I do want to throw in the caveat. I don't just like spice. I want there to be a good flavor with it. It's like I'm not just gonna be out here munching ghost peppers, but if it's like a good level of heat and a good flavor, that is perfect. Shane?
Yeah, real quick, you might need to cut this out. You'll want to cut this out. You need to make sure that you're holding your mic up. A few times you've got let it get away from you.
Oh no!
And it hasn't been bad enough. You need to re-record anything. I don't think. Just be careful.
I can raise the audio if I have to.
Yeah. So for me, it's a little bit complicated, honestly. I could pick half of these, and it'd be right. Particularly sweet and salty, both high contenders. For whatever reason, I'm feeling meaty more. I do like, a good meaty taste. So I'm gonna pick meaty.
If you picked bland, unsubscribe. I don't want you in my life.
If you pick pungent, which is a smell, also like what?
Shane, if you could only have one of the following 12, which would you rather have?
See, there have been some decent questions and some really bad questions. This one is probably the worst one. There's overlap, and it's just really, some of these things are very similar, some of these things are connected. I'm not gonna think too hard about it. Uh, love and faith are probably the real right answers, one or both of them, you know. But I feel like picking power, so I'm gonna do that, whether it's true or not.
Nice.
And I will not elaborate.
Marshall?
So also kind of the same thing with Shane. Not that I will not elaborate because I'm on rants right now. Sorry.
Because elaborating is the only thing you're doing today.
I will cut this if
Yeah,
you do this too much.
I'm trying. So love is, I think, the thing that kind of encompasses all of, like, not everything. It does not encompass money and power unless you are in love with money and power, which you can be, I guess. But like love is
Which
connected
I
with
am.
friends. It's connected with faith, connected with joy and courage. So like I think that's the one I'm going to be going with. I would love to be able to do like brains or faith, but I would also like to be like health, but like I'm really not that healthy. So I would like to be healthier, but I'll try. But I'm going with love.
Yeah, the issue with this one is that like these are not distinct categories. Like my friends bring me joy, so how can I divorce those two? Um I really don't know. This is a difficult one. I think I'm gonna go with Marshall on the cop out answer. I'm gonna go with love because I love my friends. I love my health. Um, this one is just kind of all encompassing. So yeah, I'll agree with Marshall and go with love. Um, second to last question, penultimate one, which let's just work under the assumption that you have the ability to wield whatever element you choose here. What's your favorite way to cause damage? I'm going to start on this one. It's a very simple answer for me. This is one of my top three superpowers that I would want. I want ice powers. I think that it's a very underrated superpower. Ice powers, super speed, and time travel are my top three, not in that order. So I'm going with ice. Shane, what are you going with?
Well, like assuming the premise we've set up, because if we're thinking about this from a D&D aspect, then it just becomes a question of what are the least resisted types, and it
Yeah,
kind of
it's do
cuts
you
down
want
the
psychic or
answers.
force?
Yeah, and ice is very appealing to me. Similar reasons, I think it's very cool. Also, someone who runs hot, the idea of being able to cool myself down, also great. Um, but I'm gonna have to pick fire. In D&D, I love Fireball very much, as I've stated on this channel, and apparently will continue to state. Um, and it makes me sad that it's so resisted, although I get it. So I'm just gonna pick fire because I think it's cool. I'm not a pyromaniac, but I'm picking fire.
Fire and ice. What about you, Marshall?
So I want to say lightning because it's cool. But
Because
psionic, I don't. That's kind of my brain right now. Just. So psionic. Why does it say psionic? It should say psychic. There's no. It's not psionic damage. It's psychic. Whatever. Um, I thought about this one for a little bit. I think it's force. Not thinking about like the least resisted damage type. I'm thinking about it as like air. And if I would wanted to be able to control things, I would like if I was like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, I would love to be able to control air. That's my idea. Uh, and there's not much to it. I think force is the right one for me. So
all right. Um, final question. You stare down the face of a dragon. How will you defeat it? I do want to give a caveat up front, kind of like we did with the previous one. This is working under the assumption that you can do whatever this is. This is working on something you have the ability to cast spells. You have the ability to speak Draconic. I'm sorry to break it to y'all. You're not charming the dragon. But this is like working under the assumption that you have supernatural abilities. Marshall, how would you defeat a dragon?
I would love to say speak to the dragon in its own language, but I'm not bilingual, so I'm not going with that. I would also love to say cast a powerful spell, but that's not something I think I would actually do. The first thing, my first like gut instinct, as if I'm facing a dragon with a party, is protect my teammates. I will die for them. That's me. That's where I'd go. So protect my teammates.
Nice. Shane, are you ready to look bad by comparison? What's your choice?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for setting us up to fail, Marshall. I appreciate it. Um, there are a bunch of things I would like to pick, even assuming that I could have the ability to pick any of them. I have to say, I have to give it to my boy, Dragon Ball Z Abridged Goku, and I'm just gonna hit it really hard. I'm gonna hit it really hard.
Oh, I thought you were going to
And
say muffin button.
and if Vegeta's there with me, then we're gonna hit it really hard together.
That's a great answer. I am torn between speak to the dragon in its own language and cast a powerful spell. I really do think those are the two that I would go with. Um, and this is, working under the assumption that I speak Draconic or have the ability to learn Draconic. As I've mentioned already, I really can't decide between the two. I think, if I had the ability, I do think I would cast a powerful spell. I think it's kind of like a 50-50 between those two. But tonight, I'm feeling confrontational. So I'm going to cast a powerful spell. Now, I do want everyone to know, as soon as you hit the button on this last question, it gives you your answer. It scrolls right down. So what we're going to do, Shane's going to hit his answer. We're going to see his results. And we're kind of going to go around and each talk about what we got, what we wanted to get, and how we feel about kind of the difference. How well does it fit us? So without any further ado, Shane, hit it really hard.
Yeah, no surprise for anyone who paid
Yeah.
attention to the things I answered. To be fair, half of them were things of just me just picking what I thought was funny or what I felt like at the moment. Not arguably not my real answer. But I do think that I have to admit the barbarian is somewhat applicable to me. It's not the worst answer I could have gotten. Um, it's simple. I kind of
What
like
would
it.
you have wanted?
I would have wanted wizard, mostly because it's my favorite class. And I do think I'm intelligent. I don't know if that's my main thing. I would have wanted wizard, but you know what? I'm satisfied with barbarian. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of a discussion for another time, but I do just want to say, you, classes are not their stereotypes. Just because you're a barbarian doesn't mean you're an idiot. Marshall, do you want to go next, or do you want me to?
Uh, you can go next.
Okay. Um, well, again, I don't think mine is a huge surprise based on some of the answers I chose, especially cast a powerful spell. I think if I'd gone for speak to the dragon in its own language, I probably would have gotten a different answer. I got wizard, which is what I would have wanted. I honestly, if it had all of the classes, I would probably cast myself as an artificer. But out of the core 12, I think I'm definitely a wizard. I think it's the one I match with the best. And I'm not upset about it. I, you know, I'm the kind of guy that if I were in the Star Trek universe, I would want to be a captain of a starship. I want to do arguably the coolest thing ever, which is why I'm in counseling, right? Um, but yeah, I got wizard. That's what I would have wanted. I'm happy with it. I will say, I think my second choice, divorcing it from the mechanics of the game, would be ranger, because as I've mentioned, I really like archers. I really enjoy nature, even if my physique doesn't say so. So if I had gotten ranger, I wouldn't have been upset. But I'm happy with wizard. What'd you get, Marshall?
So I got a paladin, which I was not really expecting. But I was like, okay, I'm actually really not upset about it. I thought I would be. But I could kind of see it for with what I chose and stuff like that. But I'm thinking about back to the chain answer. I'm like, a paladin with a chain. Imagine getting smitten, whatever.
Not smitten.
I think just smited, right?
Smited it. Uh,
Not what I said.
oh, okay, my bad. With a chain, just getting smacked. That'd be kind of cool.
I looked it up.
But
The past tense of smite is smote.
okay. So smote. But if I could, I would choose wizard. But I think the class that I would actually, because wizard is my favorite class, I think. I would actually kind of want to be a monk. Monks, I think, are just really fun. Like I said earlier, I think it's really cool to fight with your fists, and I would love to actually be a monk. But I'm actually very happy with paladin. I think that kind of goes with the type of things I would want to do. Hit hard, but also be able to cast some things. I think that makes sense, and I like it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I can kind of see all three of us as these classes, even though apparently in our perfect world we would just be three wizards at book club. But yeah, so sorry that there's not a session this week. Like I said, we just wanted to be able to spend time with our families and also not go through the hassle of scheduling a session around Christmas. But I hope you enjoyed this anyway. This kind of just like relaxed video. If you liked this, we have another video that is very similar to it. It's also dealing with classes, and it is a more relaxed, just us chatting kind of video. You might have seen it as of right now. It's our best performing video on the channel. It is our class tier list. Be ready for some hot takes. But link to that will be in the description. There'll be an iCard somewhere in one of the corners. Check that video out for us. Any closing thoughts before we hop off?
If you really want to use this quiz, we can put that in the description for anyone who wants
we'll
to
link
use
it too.
So if you want to take this one, but we're happy to have you here. And again, sorry that we couldn't play our game tonight. But we're happy that you're here, and we hope to see y'all next time. That's it for me. Shane?
Just real quick, I probably should have said this earlier. I don't get Marshall as a paladin in the slightest, but it's good for you that you do. Thanks for watching the video, guys. That's all I'm gonna say about it. So
that's fair.
See you next time.
Check out Heartwood Heist every first, third, and fifth Saturday, except this one at 7 p.m. Central Time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.
See ya.
Have a good night.